Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving into a true story of horror and spiritual attachment from one of Indonesia's most beautiful, yet mystically powerful, mountains. Mount Rinjani. This tale comes directly from a fan named Hilma, detailing the terrifying events of her 2012 graduation trek. Hilma and her boyfriend, Aldo, were part of a massive group of about 20 college students all eager to conquer Rinjani before starting their adult lives. The group was split into 3 smaller teams for manageability, but even before their boots touched the dirt trail, they received a chilling premonition. While having a final meal at a small warring or local eatery near the mountain's base, the elderly owner approached Aldo, the group leader. She didn't mince words. She warned them about the disturbances Rinjani is known for, emphasizing one critical instruction. If anything supernatural happened, they must exit through the main gate they entered. She claimed that gate had been spiritually barred, preventing malicious entities from following them home. This warning, as we'll see, was key. The initial climb was exhilarating. The views were breathtaking, and the group was filled with the kind of excitement that only comes with shared adventure. They reached the peak and descended to the iconic Segara Anak Lake for their main camp. It was here, by the beautiful caldera, that the peace shattered. Late that night, a violent shaking rattled the logistic tent, one holding all their food supplies. When the team rushed over, they found the tent violently torn, and provisions were strewn everywhere. Yet, there was no sign of an animal or person escaping. Their guide, Renga, tried to dismiss it as a wild boar, but no tracks or sounds supported his claim. The damage was too severe, too deliberate. It felt distinctly unnatural. An unsettling quiet fell over the group. Then came Aziz. He decided, foolishly, to ascend the Gunung Baru, Rinjani's smaller volcanic Konalon. He vanished. The search party, led by Aldo, finally located him hours later, long after night fell. Aziz was pale, his clothes were torn, and he was utterly exhausted. He claimed he'd been fighting a wild boar for hours, but the true terror lay in the emptiness of his gaze. He seemed vacant, like a part of him had been left behind on that dark peak. The group couldn't shake the feeling that whatever Aziz had encountered wasn't just a boar. The next morning, the descent began, and that's when the real chaos ensued. Hilma, Aldo, and 2 of their friends, Ramat and Sinara, ended up forming a group for falling far behind the others. As darkness approached, they realized something was deeply wrong. They were walking for hours, feeling like they were covering vast distances, only to find themselves looping back to the same familiar rocks, or simply failing to make any downward progress. The mountain seemed to be playing with them, trapping them in a bewildering, endless loop. In the thick of the night, exhaustion setting in, they encountered a figure, an old man, shirtless and clad only in a traditional sarong, was carrying a massive basket on his back. He told them the way out was just an hour away. The group felt a rush of relief. But then, Rama, desperate for water, turned to ask the old man for some, and he was gone. He had vanished into the thin night air. There was no sound of footsteps, no rustling leaves, just an unnerving silence where a person had been standing moments before. The auditory tricks continued. They heard laughter, chatter, and saw the faint flicker of flashlights up ahead, convincing them their friends were just around the bend. But every time they chased the light or the sound, it would dissolve, leaving them alone and stranded in the crushing darkness once more. It was a cruel psychological game, draining their hope and their sanity. Finally, they saw lights that didn't disappear. They had met up with Group 3, led by their friend Ilham. Aldo rushed to greet Ilham, overjoyed to finally find the others. But Ilham was rigid, unresponsive, his skin impossibly cold to the touch. It was a moment of frozen terror. And then, Aldo saw it. Directly behind Ilham, looming over the group, was its burial shroud was filthy, its ties were loose, revealing a ghastly, glaring face fixed right on them. The terror was overwhelming, a suffocating presence that stole the air from their lungs. The appearance of the Pukong marked the peak of the disturbances. Immediately afterward, Sinara began screaming. Her eyes rolled back into her head, and she became hysterically possessed, charging back up the trail. She was incredibly strong, fighting off everyone who tried to restrain her, determined not to leave the mountain. It was as if the mountain itself was holding her captive. They tried everything, but every time they dragged this struggling Senara near the main exit gate, the one the old Warang lady had warned them about, Senara would temporarily snap out of it. She'd seem normal for a second, only to immediately throw another violent tantrum and bolt back up the slope, away from the gate, deeper into the forest. It was a desperate, terrifying cycle. Just as they felt completely helpless, the Warren grandmother reappeared out of nowhere. She looked at Senara and immediately knew what had happened. She instructed the group to quickly gather wood and light a fire as tall as Senara's body. As the flames roared into the night sky, the entity possessing Senara seemed to recoil. Senara fell unconscious, and finally, they were able to carry her limp body through the barred gate. They made it off the mountain, physically safe, but Senara was not the same. On the drive home, she behaved like a child, seeing the city for the first time, pointing at buildings and cars with a strange, disconnected wonder. She was completely detached from her old self. According to Hilma, years later when she submitted this story, the attachment from Ranjani remains. Senara occasionally suffers terrifying bouts of possession, causing her to lose herself completely. The warning was clear. Respect the local wisdom, or something will follow you home. For Senara, Ranjani never truly let her go. Thanks for listening to Hilma's story. Sometimes the most beautiful places hide the darkest secrets. If you have a story you'd like to share, you know where to send it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.